This is Holy Virus, the Blind Warrior Gamer, and I'm coming to you today with what's something we should have done probably about a week and a half ago. We're going to do a little
But things keep
review.
coming up.
Well, yeah. uh, so I got sick for about 4 days, and this video had gotten postponed because I happened to be sick during BlizzCon. And this video is going
Yes,
to...
which I was able to watch BlizzCon and fill in Holy play-by-play.
So,
and by the way, this is Alexandos.
yes, Holy Virus and Alexandos here on the Blind Warrior Gaming channel, and we're going to discuss the topics that we find the most interesting about BlizzCon, from World of Warcraft to Diablo 3. And we're going to go ahead and start out with a little bit of information that some people may or may not know about. This will tie in World of Warcraft and Diablo 3 together. For those of you who play WoW and use a credit card to set up a daily, or I should say a monthly subscription, if you...
And also for those of you who have a crap load of money.
Yeah, who want to just dish it out at one time. For a 1-year annual pass to World of Warcraft, you will be given some perks. The list of perks that I have here in front of me are the Tyrael's Charger Mount,
Which comes out in patch 4.2.
Right.
I mean 4.3.
4.3. A free copy of Diablo 3, and guaranteed entry into the next World of Warcraft beta, which I'm projecting for next fall, Mists of Pandaria.
Which would also say that I'm going to take a guess at and say that sometime in December, patch 4.3 will come out. Maybe sooner. I'm not sure. Maybe mid-November.
If it's not before Thanksgiving, it'll be before Christmas. It's gonna be in time. It's definitely gonna be in time for the Christmas holiday, because you have to consider all the people who get out of school for 2 weeks in the winter.
Aye.
So, with that in mind, BlizzCon opened up with World of Warcraft, and there were a lot of changes that were to be made. Some you may like, some you may not like.
I'm just going to just flat out say, after the first announcements, they had to literally, I'd say they have to get in like a cleaning crew to clean
has left
up the collective geekasm that happened.
I don't think there's a cleaning crew big enough, because people officially, Pandaria will contain the pandas. The pandas will be in game and they will be playable.
For both
races,
by the way,
yes,
which is brand new and mind blowing. Which also, it goes into possibly Holy, your dream could come true of Murlocs one day becoming playable.
I can only hope. I would Murgle or with much joy. So, along with the new race, which after 10 levels you choose Alliance or Horde, comes a new class that will be available to all races except for Worgen and Goblin, which is the monk.
And Goblin. And also, ahead of time, I'm just saying this is not a hero class. You level from 1, suck it up.
Yeah, and as another note, if any of you were paying attention to Diablo 3, the character's visage and makeup, I think, will be a direct derivative of that game. Because that game's got a monk, and I think the monk class is going to be directly derived from that.
That, or I think they're taking more of the approach, I think, from Diablo 3, because pretty much right away, just saying this, you're not having an auto attack. You have to constantly keep comboing buttons, meaning you will probably destroy your keyboard by the time you fully level your monk to 90. And that also goes into the fact that, well, there's also something that you would never expect to hear. The monk, primarily a melee class, using leather armor, is actually going to be a healer. But the way they work is through proximity healing, meaning while they're DPSing the boss, They're healing people around the statues they throw down.
Select has left the server.
Don't mind the people coming in and out of our vent server. It happens all the time. We're relatively crowded, and we got a couple of people with some bad internet, but that's a different story in itself. Along with the proximity,
Pay no heed to the people exiting the vent.
To go along with the proximity healing, your damaging spells will do direct target healing to a designated target, almost like Beacon of Light. And your AoE damaging spells as a healer will do AoE healing at a lesser degree. But the whole point of the monk is that you're in there constantly doing damage, even if you're a healer. If you're a tank, I would assume
You are a brewmaster.
that the alcohol that your character consumes or uses through spells or talents will give him the ability to be the tank, because when you're drunk, you have natural beer balls.
Exactly. There's also the fact that the way the monk works, it's going to work kind of similar to a paladin or a death knight, where instead of presences or auras, you're going to have a stance. For instance, you'll have a stance that I believe is called a Way of the Drunken Fist, which is going to be your tanking. Then there's the Way of the Wind, which is going to be your melee DPS. Then followed by whatever stance the Mistwalker, aka the healer, is going to use. But pretty much.
The stances.
Also, one other thing,
the stances are
gonna have
more
two
like that in the warrior class, if you think about it.
yeah,
Because you have your fury stance, or your berserking stance, I should say, your battle stance, and then your defensive stance. Now, with a warrior, all of your stances are directly derivative towards your physical combat or tanking. Whereas the monk, your stance will determine how your character is going to react in combat.
exactly, and each stance will actually have its own animations. Another thing, each class, something that wasn't included in BlizzCon, but Holy found out about patch 4.3.1.
Yes.
I'll let him explain.
From what I have found out, Blizzard has decided that due to the monk class, and because of the degree of animations that is going to be entailed in being able to make the moves happen, all of the classes in the game, all of the races in the game, I should say, are going to get a graphics overhaul to bring the character models, polygon count, and frame count for bone structure and joint movement up to the new models that are going to be released and have been released. They're also going to be including new character animations. At one point, there was a fear on Blizzard's part that by doing this, people were going to back off and not like it and say, oh, it doesn't look like World of Warcraft. At this point, Blizzard says it's necessary, it will enhance the game, and we're pretty sure people are going to embrace it. And me personally, I look forward to the new graphics.
Personally, how those new orc models, like if you've been to Twilight Highlands, you saw how their faces look. They looked a lot better. Or for instance, picture your human character with the quality of Varian Rin.
Oh yeah.
Picture that.
Or the remodeled Jaina Proudmoore.
Amazing. Exactly. Or hell, the remodeled actually something I would like to see. Class specific changes, like for instance, if you play Night Elf Druid, like give yourself antlers. That's something I would like to see.
Well, also bear in mind, with this change is going to be new graphics animations. So for example, there's the potential that as playing a mage, you're going to use your staff in the character motion to cast and fling your spell. Or as a paladin, you're commanding the light from the heavens to heal your target, and your character will then raise his mace to the sky and point the hammer into the direction of the character he's healing.
Yeah, actually,
these are all potential things that may come out of this. Now, this is not confirmed. The only thing that has been confirmed is that Blizzard is going to up the character models because of the new class.
Exactly. Because the Pandarians themselves have... Look at the new Thrall model, too. They have such a higher polygon count of their skeleton that they will need better animations. And the monks themselves will have animations that no other class no other class will have. Like, for instance, you're going to have to be able to have your character look like they're roundhouse kicking and not look like the character's limbs are going everywhere.
Well, okay. Off topic, I study martial arts. And to perform a proper roundhouse kick, you have to move your plant foot and pivot it 90 between 90 and 125 degrees towards the direction that your kick foot is going to go. You then bring your leg up and around and you kick with the top of your foot with a snap from the knee. To get that kind of animation out of a panda or out of any character class, they're going to have to really define the joints, the muscles, and the bones in the character. Because when you're doing that, the muscles will move a certain way, your bones will move a certain way, your character's going to contort and twist his hips, his shoulders may rotate in a certain kind of punch, or if he's doing an axe kick, the leg's going to come straight up over his head, then the knee's going to snap down on top of the target. And these are all things that they have to take into consideration when doing the monk character class, and is going to have to require them to up the models for every character. Otherwise, the moves are just going to look silly. I mean, I really personally don't want to see a stiff. That'd be like playing Street Fighter 4, and Ken does his overhead downward front kick, and instead of it having the leg bend and the toes curving and the heel moving, it just looks like a stiff board. It would take the interest out of the game, and people would be like, okay, the animation sucks, which makes the fighting unrealistic. I'm not going to bother with it.
Yep.
It would end up bringing you back to Mortal Kombat 2. We all know how the graphics were for that on Super Nintendo.
Oh god. And then there's also, speaking on this term, the Pandarians and their race, and there's, well, I'll get into this. The Pandaren, if you didn't know, was originally a April Fool's joke, a new race that was supposed to come in Warcraft 3, which it didn't, but then the company came to love, and the community came to love these characters so much that they in the Frozen Throne, if you've played the Rexar campaign, you get Chen Stormstout as a character that helps you out and pretty much just beats the crap out of everyone. And right when you start out in Mists of Pandaria, you are on the back of it. You are not from Pandaria per se. You are the Pandarians who lived upon the back of a giant turtle, who are a group of Pandarians who had this thing called the Wanderlust, which is pretty much they want to go out and explore the outside world. This plays into them joining both Alliance and Horde, and pretty much why you're able to play as them, because the Pandaren that you meet on Pandaria are kind of pissed off at you, because the way the magics upon Pandaria are so ancient that most of them do not see anger or hatred towards each other, because on that island, negative emotions and death cause these beings known as the Shah to appear. Picture Shah as shadow demons that are created of negative emotion. This is why they always have inner peace.
It's almost like the constant struggle between yin and yang in a martial artist. When you have negative chi, you generate negative energy, which would be your yang. And this could cause turmoil in your life or around you, and can also cause failure in combat. Where if you have positive chi or yin, you grow strength, you have prosperity, you have patience, clairvoyancy, and a clear understanding of what's going to happen before you. Because of the war between the Alliance and the Horde, and them finding Pandaria and tapping it for resources to fuel their war machines, it brings forth the Shah, which then creates this bad chi, which then brings these demons out, and the Pandarians get upset with you, and you as the Alliance and or Horde will then have to remove the Shah from the area, which I'm sure will be a phasing system with new graphics and new storyline, to clean out the area and win the side of the Pandarians to your faction.
Yes, and also there is the entire thing where they did say the Shah won't just be basic enemies. Like, there will be some minor ones, but most of the time you will find a Shah in a raid. That's how powerful they are. As well as they are adding in new races, such as these tiny little rabbit things, which they quote as the new kobolds, which I'm going to enjoy killing. There's the Mogu, who are a race of, like, picture Japanese and Chinese ogres. That's what they look like. They were the original denizens of Pandaria, and then the Pandarians came in after they left Kalimdor, kicked them to the other side of a wall that they built, and that they've been over there ever since. Then, last but not least, there is a race of monkey people. Cannot remember their names right now, but they are constantly causing mischief, which is very similar to Chinese lore of the Monkey King. And finally, there are the Mantid, which are picture the Karaji, but no hive mind. They think for themselves. They wear clothes. They are and they're going to be one of the major enemies you fight in this new expansion.
Yeah, that's all you need is a self-thought, free-willed Silithid. Have fun with that.
Oh god, all I can say is I just see us having to... At one point, there's going to be some sort of form of the Furious Five in this expansion.
As long as there are no bumblebees, I'm happy.
Yes. Well, I just see, like... I see some sort of quest line taking us into some sort of... Like, if they bring back class-specific quests, I want to see a monk have to enter a tournament, and they, like, have to weed out, like, certain, like, competitors because they are cheating or whatever.
Well, and that goes into theory crafting, which we're going to save for another video. Some of the other changes that they are making to World of Warcraft in the next expansion, or Warcraft version 5.
Hold on, can I say it?
Oh, go ahead.
Gotta catch 'em all! Pokemon!
Yes, as he has just stated and has ripped off Nintendo pretty hard, your critter pets or companions will be able to be used in combat to tame other pets in the world or to fight your character's friends or foes' pets in a Pokemon Stadium style-esque combat system. Your pets can be leveled and can be traded so long as that, unfortunate to my dismay, they are not BlizzCon pets. So
or pets you get from getting the collector's edition of one of the games.
Yeah, so if you
like,
were,
instance, if you get the
if you got Thor from Starcraft 2, then you can't trade it.
Yeah, or if you, for instance, you get the collector's edition of Diablo 3, and you get the little shaman fetish pet, like the little wooden puppet guy, you cannot trade that. You cannot trade Little Deathwing.
And for those who were hoping, for those who were hoping to get their hands on Mercablo and didn't pay for the BlizzCon ticket, such as myself, you're boned.
Holy!
You are boned.
Yep. Yep, and I'm going to be the guy torching you to death with my Mercablo.
Yeah, kiss my ass. Let's go ahead and continue on. The next thing that they're doing is they're changing the talent trees completely from top to bottom. You will no longer have the cookie cutter class talents. You will no longer have it to where there is going to be a guaranteed you must have this spec. Instead, it is going to be based on how you pick your talents and your skill to determine how well your character plays out. If you are not good at your character class, you do not understand the concepts and how to make the character work as need be, you're going to have a difficult time because there is no cookie cutter. You can't hit elitist jerks or MMO champions and just say, I'm going to do this talent spec and jam on these buttons, because guess what? Everything's going to change. All of the timings are going to change. The usages are going to be different and how they're going to react in combat. The entire game is going to be rebuilt from the ground up in terms of combat and talents, and the one that is going to be most dramatically affected is the Druid, who will have 4 talent trees. They are separating Feral into 2 for Cat and Bear. Rogue DPS, Bear Tank.
I actually think it's easier because then you're not going to have a Bear Tank in, say... I have friends who do PvP law and say that they see a bear tank running in and using cat abilities and owning them in the face. No more of that, my friends. There's also one thing I'm enjoying is the fact that, well, there will be going to elite jerks now because they're going to be because certain talents will actually not work against certain bosses. So you will actually have to go in and respec your abilities depending on your boss fight.
But you can do it on the fly, from what I'm understanding. Now, this is not confirmed, But preemptively, you're going to be able to do some of these talent swaps on the fly in the dungeon and be like, oh crap, this boss doesn't like bleed effects. He's stone. So I need to go with a heavy hitting attack. So I'm a warrior. I get rid of Mortal Strike. I start using Slam and Cleave and other spells and negate having to work with Rend or Mortal Strike because they're not going to do me any good.
Exactly. Oh, there's also what else? I'm trying to think, but they are adding it. They are adding in like certain things. Like they did not show certain abilities that are going to be in there, but they did say if you didn't see them, don't worry. They will probably just be added into your when you choose which talent you want to go into. I mean, which spec you
Well,
want to go into. They said it's gonna be an included part.
keep this in mind.
Like for instance, they didn't
I want,
they didn't show for instance, they didn't show On a Pale Horse, which is one of my favorite abilities as a Frost Death Knight.
okay, but I want you to keep something in mind. Every character in the game, depending on your spec, will have different abilities and skills. With the new talent change, it doesn't matter what spec you will have every single ability. At least that's what's stated at this point. Now, this could change.
No, hold on a sec, Holy. No, it's you'll have your basic class abilities and the ones you get with your specs, such as Frost Strike or Heart Strike. But then as you go I think they said every 15 levels, I believe, you go in and you pick one of 3 talents.
Right, it's going to be relatively limited on what you can suit. And as you level, that talent will level with you. But your character...
No, Holy.
Character has base spells.
And also they're making it so now you don't have to go to your trainer anymore. As soon as you level up to a certain level to get an ability, you're just going to get the ability.
Right, now...
Trainers are now only used for respecking.
But let's say you're a Frost Mage. And you're dishing out your water, your ice bolt, and you're dishing out your cone of cold, and you got your water elemental out there wreaking havoc. You can also, in the middle of the fight, not only have your deep freeze proc, but you could drop a combustion proc and use your fire spells to spread your dots or your deep freeze or whatever other spells you're using, and you can use other talents or other spells that right now would be tree specific in any tree. That's what I'm getting across. So like I can be a rep paladin and I'm hammering away, busting face, Divine Storm, Crusader Strike, Inquisition, Crusader Strike, Templar's Verdict. Oh shit, someone's gonna die. I have Holy Shock. I can go, you got a Holy Shock now. Now granted, it's gonna have a heavier cooldown than a healer would have. But I will have those healer abilities even as a Retribution Paladin. So I could be casting Exorcism, and then Exorcism's on cooldown, Judgment's on cooldown. I need to hit the boss with something to keep my DPS up. I can then throw in a Holy Shock to hit the boss, which will also generate me a Holy Power, so that then when I do my Crusader Strike, I get another Holy Power, and then I can pop either Inquisition or Templar's Verdict. Giving you more flexibility and requiring you to understand your character far better than you do now, and it will require you to pay attention to what you're doing, because if you don't, you're going to have crap for DPS, you're going to suffer in dungeons, and you're not going to get anywhere.
Okay. So, pretty much talent trees are getting completely and utterly rebooted. There's also the fact which I like, they're making it next expansion a singular they're making next one like a singular continent now, and you cannot get flying to level 90, so it's going to force you to go on the ground and stuff.
Yep, dust off your ground mounts, clean up your motorcycles. It's a foot job now. There will be no flight on that new continent till level 90. which will make people who have the Macroneer's chopper or the chopper from the Horde side, I forget what they call it, usable and viable again.
The Mechanohog.
There you go, the Mechanohog. It will make it viable again.
There, yes, as well as personally, I also one other thing that I'm ecstatic about. They're bringing back world raid bosses. For those of you who were not around in vanilla and didn't have to go and kill that giant blue dragon over Najara, you're gonna get to know that feeling again.
Or the dragon that was in Duskwood in the Twilight Grove.
No, that was one of 5 dragons. They were the corrupted, they were the many corrupted consorts of Ysera.
But
because they got touched by the nightmare.
Right, but what I'm saying
yeah,
is
I know what you're getting at.
It's there. So keep your eyes peeled, because you don't know when you're going to see text pop up on the bottom of the screen, hear some beast yelling at you, it swoop from the sky and pull a Deathwing and one-shot your ass. Just this time you won't get a feat of strength or an achievement, you're just dead.
And you're going to have to get a gear repair. There's also something else I really like. They're putting in PvE. They're putting in PvE encounters, which
PvE,
will pretty much...
Yeah, they're called PvE scenarios. Basically, you go into Goldshire. Goldshire gets attacked by a bunch of kobolds from Fargo Deep Mine. You have to beat them off, save some children, and then you will get experience and loot for completing the scenario.
But then also at the end, there's going to be a special boss as well. Again, this is just a... It's not like a definite encounter, this Goldshire thing, but there's also going to be PvE, PvP places where pretty much you're going to be with a bunch of people. You're not fighting other players like the opposite faction. You're just fighting up the other faction NPCs. Where you'll go in, you'll destroy all the troops, and then out of nowhere, the general will spawn, and then you have to go and kill him, and then you get your honor points or your valor points or whatever.
They will be known as PvE battlegrounds.
Which I'm going to do a lot of when it comes out.
It's going to be fun.
Because I'm sick and tired of... I'm getting sick and tired of that level, whatever... undead rogue running up to me, sapping me, and then continually beating my face in.
Well, yeah, well, you can do nothing. But bear in mind,
exactly,
because this is going to be a PvE battleground, the NPCs may play intelligently enough, if they built the AI right, like a player. So they will use all of the abilities to their potential. You just have to be better than they are.
Exactly. Again, but NPCs are usually easier to outsmart than
they are. Because you have to
opponent.
think about the Trial of the Crusader or Trial of the Grand Champion from Wrath of the Lich King. In that arena, one of the boss fights is to fight a group of your opposite faction, and they use their abilities to their ability. And if you do it right, it's not so hard.
Again, true. And there's also, have we missed anything?
I think
have we covered everything?
I think we've covered everything on the World of Warcraft front.
Oh yeah, for those of you who actually want to know, the racials that they have so far for the Pandarians are, you're going to get 100% extra on food buffs. Very useful.
Which is ridiculous.
I love it, though.
Still ridiculous.
You're going to get up Inner Peace, which is going to increase the amount of time you're going to get on your rest experience. Bouncy, which you can already probably guess, but it reduces your fall damage by 50%. Then finally, something that Holy will particularly enjoy. Quaking Palm. Where it puts your enemy to sleep for 3 seconds.
Yes, which is basically just hitting a pressure point in their neck and then kicking the shit out of them. It's going to be great.
Exactly. It's pretty much War Stomp, but for Pandaren.
I do plan on making a human monk named Silent Virus, so there you go.
And I plan on making a Pandaren monk of some description, most likely of some sort of name of a possible anime character, not sure yet.
Just call yourself Fat Panda. Or Chubs.
That could work. Maybe I think maybe Choji.
There you go. Um, so to continue on,
For those of you,
now that we've
yes.
got Diablo or Warcraft covered, let's go ahead and move on to Diablo 3. So, as
Oh
you all
my god, the lore panel.
well, and the lore panel is a discussion in itself. I know a lot about the Diablo series,
Yeah.
and that game story
All I
is
know
great.
is, for those of you who haven't been keeping up, pretty much Diablo 3, let's just say Diablo and the 3 primevals, as far as we know, are dead.
Well, that's
What we're going to be
spoiler.
fighting are... Whatever. Fine. Spoiler alert! The main villain whose name of the game is dead. Pretty much what we're going to be fighting are two of the lesser evils, which are... I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the Lord of Lies.
Asmodan.
No, that's not Osmodon. Osmodon is the Lord
no,
of
yeah,
Sin.
he's the Lord of Sin. He's the other guy.
Yeah.
I can't
Who's
remember.
this fat crab guy?
Yeah, I can't
And the
remember
first
the
guy,
other character.
the Lord of Lies, he pretty much... He's very serpent-like, and he's not going to be up in your face. He's more of the do things behind the scenes, and then you find out that these people are his servants when you turn your back, and someone turns into a fucking snake demon.
Now keep in mind, Blizzard has stated that Diablo has not been confirmed as a boss. The game is called Diablo.
Yes.
Somehow,
But those...
some way, Diablo is coming back because there is an item that these two demons are after called the Black Soul Stone.
Exactly. And that's what I'm thinking, maybe that this is... I know we should say this for a theory crafting video, but I want to say this right now before I forget it. I believe that this Black Soul Stone is actually the culmination of all three of the essences of these prime evils that they've fused together to create some sort of ultimate object.
Well,
because
keep in mind,
because Osmodon knows that if the humans, the heroes, can utilize this item, they can destroy him and the final lords of hell single-handedly. But he knows this, and this is why he's gunning for it. He wants nothing more than to take this Black Soul Stone for himself, and he's been ruling over hell for 300 years now. He's not going to let anything stop him from taking over Sanctuary.
Well,
and from what I understand, also, hopefully not to interrupt, but we are going to be seeing the other members of the Angelic High Council in this game as well.
And let's think about that Soulstone for a minute. If anyone has played Diablo 1 in particular, when they discuss the Soulstone, they let you know in that game during the single player at some of the lore tomes that the Archangel Tyrael, who gave the Horadrim the Soulstones, was unknowingly given Soulstones that were damaged and corrupted. So these Soulstones were able to allow the demons to still wreak havoc even from within, and then find a way to manifest into the body through the demonic influences of men. Hence, how that's basically how Archbishop Lazarus was corrupted, who then turned against
King.
He turned against King Leoric after making him go and do a war against the town of Westmarch, whispering demonic thoughts into his ear, then killed his one son and kidnapped his youngest son, Prince Albrecht, and dragged him into the catacombs of the cathedral, down to the 15th floor.
Hold on. I want to stop you right there. Just let that roll around in your head a little bit. A priest taking a small boy into the catacombs of a church.
Yeah, I saw that coming. I knew you were going to stop me for that, you perv.
I'm sorry, but there's a certain point when, like, just...
But in any case, when you find Archbishop Lazarus and you kill Lazarus on a dais in front of the portal to hell, or in front of the portal to Diablo's domain, you find Prince Albrecht dead with a giant hole in his head because Lazarus slammed the Soulstone into it and then magically used that Soulstone to reform Diablo from the essence of the child's body. Well,
which is fucked up as it is.
Once you kill Diablo, you then obtain the Soulstone, slam it into your own head, and off to the east you go, creating the game Diablo 2. Now bear in mind, the person that you play as, which you're supposed to play as the warrior for the base story, is actually King Leoric's eldest son, Aiden. That's about all the story crafting I'm going to give you guys right now, because we're going to eventually have an elaborate story crafting video just for Diablo 3.
To be continued.
Exactly.
To be continued.
And hopefully we can do it to the tone of the Diablo 3 beta. I have the beta installed, but I have no beta key because, well, Blizzard just hasn't given me one yet.
That and Blizzard just screwed up.
How so?
Because remember you said they accidentally gave you the beta and not the beta key?
Long story short, I ended up getting the beta. I installed the beta from my Battle.net account thinking I had the beta. I went and launched it and it says, you don't have a Diablo 3 beta key assigned to your account. So I go back into my Battle.net account. I'm like, what the hell? And all of a sudden it's gone. So I was a little unhappy.
Whoopsie.
But at any rate, something that I was going to bring up, and I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah. About the Diablo lore crafting video.
No. That's right. For those of you who want the Diablo 3 beta key, announced on Facebook and on a couple of other places, and you might even be able to find this when you log into your Battle.net account, if you sign up to www.facebook.com/Diablo, you will be able to enter into a sweepstakes with a chance to win up to 2 beta keys. What they're doing is every Monday, 1 minute before midnight, a computer will randomly generate out of the names in the pool 200 names. Now, every 4th name will be given 2 beta keys, meaning that you will see a large number of people getting the beta. It'll end up being 250 people will get the beta, and you get the 2 keys sent to you. You then can use one and send the other to your friend. Once your name
has left the server.
Once your name has been chosen to obtain the beta, and you get your CD keys, you will then be pulled from the drawing and ineligible to receive any more beta keys, and it will also pull you out of the opt-in so that you can't get another one that way as well. But it gives you another way other than the opt-in to try to get the Diablo 3 beta keys. I have entered in, Alexandros here has entered in, and several of our World of Warcraft guildmates have entered in. And we're just kind of sitting back and waiting to see what's going to happen. Right now it's Halloween, so we know that tomorrow there's going to be emails sent out to those who receive the beta keys as of November 1st. This contest will go through to December 12th, which December 12th is actually my 2-year wedding anniversary, and I'm hoping that I have the beta key by then.
That would be one hell of an anniversary gift for you, buddy.
Yeah, it would. I'd be down for that. I mean, even my wife wants to play Diablo 3. She plays Diablo 2 with us, and she's actually a part of our Let's Play series. And we're really looking forward to this game. One of the things that has been brought up, the game will only be 4 players even at full release. You will not be able to have parties of 8 like you could in Diablo 2. The auction house and cash auction house are there. Blizzard has announced the Cash Auction House will be hosted and sponsored by PayPal. So if you have a PayPal account, you can directly link your Battle.net account to the PayPal account and have any of your earnings transferred to that account for then moving to your bank account. For people under the age of 14, or I'm sorry, under the age of 18, the money earned through the Cash Auction House will be tied to your Battle.net account and cannot be moved without adults' consent. It will stay on your Battle.net account and can be used for Battle.net services such as paying for World of Warcraft or other games, or even for transaction costs in Diablo 3. The Cash Auction House will allow you to have X number of free transactions per week. That number has not been decided. It's rumored to be 5. Once you sell something, Blizzard will then take a small amount from your item. It will be a flat rate no matter what you sell. I believe it's set to 65 cents per sale. And it's really for maintenance costs of their server. They're not going to put up their own items to sell them. They've already said that that's not going to happen. There's going to be enough items to find in the game. They don't need to create more just to make a profit. This is going to be completely for the player experience. Now, if you're a hardcore player, hardcore meaning if you die, your character is dead, delete, start over, you have no functionality or control of the cash auction house. You can only use the gold auction house. That way, if your character dies, you don't lose $200 or $300 that you may have spent.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, something else they mentioned at BlizzCon was how vendors are going to work and how gem crafting is going to work. Where pretty much you pick up these scrolls of skill, I believe that it's called.
They're called
And pretty much
libraries.
you no, but they call it like they in when they were discussing they called it like a scroll, something you have to check it out for yourself. Pretty much what happens is that as you give these vendors their scrolls, they will upgrade, and you'll carry them through to each chapter. Like you'll look, well, they'll look more extravagant as you level them up, and they'll get better gear, and you'll get better supplies from each one as you, well, yeah,
Right, but not
you get
only
the
are
point.
there scrolls, but there's libraries, and these libraries are used for crafting. You can actually obtain items and disenchant them and turn them into materials, and then create your own items through the blacksmith. And you can get libraries, which are another form of scroll, that will allow you to teach your blacksmith more things for you to create.
Yep.
That pretty much covers everything we've got for Diablo 3. The last thing that we're going to discuss is the fact that StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm is coming. It is confirmed. We've already known this for a while. We've already seen some footage of the gameplay. We've already seen some footage of the cinematics. We know that Kerrigan's going to ditch Raynor and go apeshit trying to get the swarm back. What we do know is that it's going to be very heavily story-driven, single-player. Kerrigan will be involved in every level of the campaign, and you will level her up in an almost RPG sense while playing an RTS at the same time.
Yeah, because she has three or four different trees that you can upgrade and dictate how she's gonna play. Like everything from having her being able to like pull out a sniper rifle and just blow up a tank with it, or summon up a giant Zerg monster from like underground who will just destroy everything in sight.
Or even the ability to summon Nidus worms to just pump out Zergling like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, and their new units. They are going to be. They now have things where there are maps where there's very little land, and you actually have to have a space battle. Only air units.
Well, they did that in StarCraft 1 as well in some maps. Um, the other thing too, they are bringing snow maps into the game. You will find some tundras to navigate, and my prediction for a release is sometime in the summer, around the same time that Wings of Liberty was released. So I'm expecting it somewhere between June and July. I would expect the beta to come out in March after the Diablo 3 game is released, which I'm expecting Diablo 3 to be released early first quarter, March at the latest, because there's only one or two other games coming out around that time frame. One of them, which is released on my birthday, March 8th, will be MLB 2K12, which I will be doing a review of that game when it is released. I'm a huge baseball fan, but the Diablo 3 will be around the same time because there's really no other game out there that's getting put onto the market, especially with the news that the Wii U is being pushed back.
Yeah, and then there's also coming out sometime in November. Well, November 11th to be exact. I might not be on as much for obvious reasons, and Holy will know why. For
Yep.
those of you who do not know,
For those of you who are
the
not,
is
who are Elder Scrolls fans, and this is a side note, Skyrim is being released for PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. Um,
on the 11th.
and I'm going to see what I can do about hooking Alex up here to do some game review footage or have him live stream, and I'll do commentary. We'll figure something out. Um,
Yeah,
And as a
I'm
side
probably gonna get
note,
for the 360, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to hook that up. So
I can help you with that. You just need a thing called Dazzle, but that's for a different story. A side note, too, for those who are interested in Skyrim, and I guess we'll have to do some kind of commentary about it at some point, even though I'm not a big Elder Scrolls fan. Skyrim will be released for the Nintendo Wii. In Software and Bethesda have decided that they're going to make games for the new system because of its graphics power, which will surpass the PS3. Now that we've gone completely off the topic of Blizzard games, we have talked about World of Warcraft, Starcraft 2, and Diablo 3, and you guys have been informed in on all the stuff that we know. We're going to go ahead and call it.
oh,
Um,
hold on, one more side note. If for those of you who are very interested in Diablo lore and want to know how things start and how things are up to the point where they are, and all the changes that they're making for Diablo 3 lore wise, look up Diablo 3: The Book of Cain. It will explain everything. So if you had no idea what the hell we were talking about, look up the book, read it, tell us what you thought.
yeah, and as always, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, keep rocking.
To
Peace
be
out.
continued.